So you just started your business and you want to figure out how to write a successful marketing plan. If you're a realtor, you are in luck today because I'm going to introduce you to someone who has been in the industry for over 15 years, has gone through multiple cycles of an on-market and off-market, has been involved in over $3 billion in sales, and has built a team from the ground up and achieved a lot of success. This guy's approach is more about operational and overall growth. So today we're going to ask him what his 5 successful keys in writing a marketing plan are and how he got his business from where he started to where he is now. His name is Robert Garcia, and we'll talk to him soon. Welcome to the Brand Builder Podcast. I'm your host, Amir Tabrizi. I'm a side hustle digital marketer turned agency owner who has managed over $2 billion in marketing budgets. I'm obsessed with the brand building process through video content, social media, and all things organic, leveraging search engine optimization and the power of Google. Every week here on the Brand Builder Podcast, we dive deep into the dynamic realm of digital marketing, unveiling the tools, strategies, and insights that can empower your brand in today's digital-centric world. Not just go over some quick hacks and tricks that will yield you no long-term growth. Whether you're a startup looking to make a splash or an established brand aspiring to reach new heights, our podcast is here to illuminate the path towards your success. So stay tuned to my workshop-style solo shows with the occasional in-depth interviews with industry experts. We don't just talk about digital marketing. We decode it, demystify it, and help you leverage it for your brand's growth. So stay tuned into Brand Builders Podcast and embark on your journey towards becoming a titan in the digital marketing arena. So you're a brand new agent or you're a brand new salesperson, because this can apply in any other industry. You're an owner, you're an agent, you just want to grow your business, but you don't have a plan. So today, I brought somebody for you. As I told you, some episodes will have an interview style with an industry expert. And today, we're going to talk to Robert Garcia. We'll get to hear from him soon. He'll get to quickly introduce himself and where he's been, what he's done, a little bit about his past. But I want you to take notes and pay attention to the things he's giving you because these are valuable. I'm Amir Tabrizi with Brand Builder Podcast, owner of Agency 270, and a person who's lucky enough to call this guy my friend. So, Mr. Garcia, thanks for coming on the show.
Yes, hi. Thanks for having me over. It's a pleasure to be here, and I know that we've been talking about doing something together for a long time, and look, if we finally here. So it's an honor for me to be here today to share some of the wisdom, some of the mistakes I've made, because I made plenty. But don't worry, making mistakes will also teach you a valuable lesson. And to really talk about systems, though, I'm pretty deep into talking about systems and how they allow you to grow. Although it can be scary for some people to say a system, and they always think about very like a complex computers that they have to do several functions, but it's not that kind of systems. I'm talking about more things where you can streamline processes for you, and that can also give you the time and energy that you need to either go and get more business, to continue to produce more content, to continue to be that educator if you want to be that person, to be with clients, and of course, enjoy life and your family. So thank you again, Amir, for having me over.
Absolutely. And I'll give this guy a little bit of credit, and he'll explain to us kind of his dedication to, his marketing plan a little bit. But I think last time I checked, Robert, you were over 24,000 followers, subscribers through Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, right? That might be a little bit higher now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Probably a little higher.
Yeah, it's a little higher right now. And I mean, it's a blessing to have so many people follow me, so many people, exchanging ideas, asking me things. And yeah, it takes time. It's a dedication, though. Don't think that marketing is one of those things that it's not instant coffee, right? It's not put some couple scoops of instant coffee, boiling water, sugar, creamer, and sit down and enjoy. It does not work like that. It's more like about going down to South America where the coffee beans are, plant those those coffee trees and then just wait for them to grow, and you'll see them grow. And then once the grain is ready, then you cut the grain, and then you go through the process of the grain, and then you'll bring it here to your house, and then you can brew that cup of coffee.
Well, speaking of South America, it's a place of origin for you. So, RG, give us a little background of who you are, what you've been up to, and just kind of break that down for us a little bit.
Yeah, so I was originally born in El Salvador, Central America. Moved to United States back in 2000. I think when I came here, I was my family decided to leave the country because of so many concerns, and safety and lack of good security was one of them. And we came here, and we really started from scratch. And I was 20 years old at that point. Didn't know what I wanted to do, so I tried a little bit of everything. Of course, English was not my first language, so I had to go and learn English, not only have to speak it, but also to write it, because I really had bigger plans in terms of what I wanted to do with my life. So I went and did all, things that you can imagine, from having one full-time and a part-time job to having two or three part-time jobs and so on, so that I can hustle and pay for, school. Went to Montgomery College, went to university. So I got everything I needed, but then I came into real estate, and my family back home also had a background as a real estate, more as an investment thing and hobby. But my grandfather at some point was like owned and traded 12, 15 properties at the same time. So kind of like it was already in the blood, right? So we all kind of like learned like, oh, grandpa just bought this place. He's going to fix it and then going to sell it to somebody else. Or he's going to hold on to this one and rent it out. And so we have to go be available to help him, because he didn't drive. So I'd have my driver's license. So I will take him out to these places and meet with contractors, and they needed to fix it and replace roofs and plumbing and all those things. So I kind of got exposed to those things. And plus my family always been entrepreneurs. So they always saw themselves working for themselves and their families versus working for somebody else. And kind of like also that was just something in me. And came here to the States, had the opportunity to be in real estate, and I said, you know what, I kind of like that, because I remember grandpa, every house was a different project, every house was something unique, and also every house has its like some kind of reward for him. So I tried to do that and came to real estate, and have to go and pass my exam and everything. And of course, as English not being my first language, I failed the first time. I didn't pass because I didn't understand a lot of things. So I went back to study all over again, and finally passed the exam. And then I started to sell real estate. I got went to work for this company that was later on was bought out by Long and Foster. It was Llewellyn Realtors, locally owned by a guy, Charlie Llewellyn, here in the area in Rockville, Maryland. And then Long and Foster bought him back in 2015, I think it was, when they bought the company. And then I've been Long and Foster all this time. And I have helped many agents build systems. I have helped many agents help them with marketing plans, business plans, personal plans. I built systems for everything you can imagine. People used to joke with me and says, Robert knows how to build a system for a system, and never stops. And it's true. Systems are my my cup of tea. Basically, I enjoy them. I like them, and they solve a lot of headaches. Gray areas are kind of eliminated when you have good systems, and then allow you to do things that you like and you enjoy more. So it's really a lot of fun to do that. So just that's kind of like just to summarize. But I've been selling real estate all these years, licensed in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And I have closed several transactions. Some very challenging, other ones have not been. So I can say I have developed some good negotiating skills when it comes to real estate. You got to be creative in real estate for sure. It's not never a straight line from the point of contract to the end of the transaction. Never. There's always surprises. You have to be resourceful. You have to be knowledgeable, and you also have to have the authority to speak to people the way you need to, because there are going to be other agents or other people in the industry, even some clients that want to belittle you because they just feel like they know better than you do. But I always tell people, you don't go to your surgeon and tell your surgeon that you know better than more than he or she does. You go and you submit to the surgeon. You ask questions, and those questions have an answer. But then you don't question. Why are you using that kind of medication to put me to sleep or something along those lines? So that's kind of what it is. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Good. Well, as you said, that's never a straight line. There's always challenges in anything we do, and I think a lot of people here experience that, and have seen the ups and downs of their business. Now, something that I'm gonna ask you a lot about, it's throughout these 5 touch points, right? So the 5 successful keys in writing a marketing plan are starting with your goals, defining your target audience, researching your competition, choosing the right marketing channels, and then tracking your results. And for as a systems guy, you have to build the systems around this. This isn't as easy as just like, well, I'm going to start and then figure it out as I go. So, but you have a unique aspect because as an agent, you were a part of a team that saw and came out of the '07, '08 crash and then was able to kind of go back to where they were. And so that's going to be something that I think throughout this interview, I'll kind of just ask you, like, what does that look like? How did you guys do? How did you guys do well coming out of that? And I think, with uncertain times that we live in now, that might be something that our audience may be interested in. So let's start with number 1. So Robert Garcia, you got started in real estate. You, besides helping other agents, you were also an agent yourself. So you were doing both, kind of playing both sides of the field. You're playing offense and defense. So how did you start? You started with your goals. So what did you want to achieve with your marketing plan when you started putting your business out there?
So you always have to think about the end goal, and sometimes it could be a very successful, sometimes can be kind of like a failure, and I have experienced both. So think about where you want to be. So do you only want to be known as the person that takes orders, or because there are some realtors that's all they do, or transactional realtors, or do you also want to be known as the person that even after the transaction has been um, completed, then the client can still has or feels the comfortable reaching out to you? And that only happens through marketing, because marketing, it is touches, multiple touches in different ways. Some marketing is disruptive, some marketing it's informative, some marketing it builds something. But you got to think about where you really want to be. Do you want to be known as this person that keeps disrupting people's lives in the middle of having lunch and dinner and making calls, or do you want to be that person that they expect your advice, your newsletter, your video on a monthly basis, your phone call, your guide about making improvements to your house that have a good return on investment? Who you want to be known for. I always tell people that and this is something I use a lot of my marketing. I'm not about sales pressure, just education, because to me, if you pressure someone to make a decision that they don't feel educated about in the middle of a deal, and especially in real estate, they will get cold feet and they want to really get out of it. And you're talking legal implications that can cost several thousands dollars. You lose your sleep. I mean, you name it. But if you educate someone, you do reverse engineering. That's why I love Amazon, because these guys they figured out that how the 2-day shipping should work, and they tried in so many ways, and they now have a pretty good system. So they built a system around it. So that's what I will say is, look at your end goal, who you want to be helping, how you want to be known, and then create the systems around those things. One thing I didn't do early in my career was just to seek legal, like the help and advice I needed from people that do these things every day. I thought that maybe I was a dabbler, and what I mean by that is, okay, people said postcards work a lot, so I gotta send postcards. Then I didn't see any results after 4, 5, 7 months, and nobody told me that I needed to probably commit to 2 years to it. Then I said, well, go into Facebook and do Facebook stuff, and then go into Facebook groups because that's working. Then go Instagram became popular. Go into Instagram, and then TikTok, and Pinterest. Come on, you lose your Twitter, YouTube. I mean, it's way. So define the channels, define your audience, define who you want to be, and then start creating a marketing plan. And let me tell you, as I gave the illustration earlier, it's not instant coffee, guys. This is not instant coffee. If you are in any industry thinking that marketing is going to get you leads immediately and you're going to become rich overnight, your your mindset isn't it has all the wrong thoughts come into it right now, and you this is not the right industry. This takes time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, but it's very rewarding at the end of the day.
Awesome. Well, you touched on something that I definitely want to bring up and kind of reiterate on is the way you explained it is you started out with brand awareness, right? So you became the educator. You took the sales pressure out of what is a very stressful situation as it is, whether it's selling or buying a house, right? I mean, I experienced it with you back in the midst of COVID in 2020.
Yep.
And it was interesting because, I I would walk into a house and be like, this is wrong, this is wrong. My wife would be like, no, you got to look at the positives of it. So I think that was such a stressful situation, but you took the stress out of it with the education aspect of it. So that's huge. So you took brand awareness, that brand awareness started to drive sales for you. And then you really honed into what you were doing when you got to the audience. So let's touch on that audience. How did you define your target audience in such a huge industry where you can work the buyers, the sellers, or whatever it is?
So that's a really, really good point. Another mistake I made in early in my career, thinking that, well, anybody that basically can fog a mirror probably is going to need to buy or sell a piece of real estate. Wrong, big wrong on that, because what happens is real estate has a couple components. Number one is the people, their wants and needs, right? Anybody has any wants, anybody has any needs when it comes to real estate. Then there is the emotional part, which takes is a big portion of the purchase or selling a real estate. And then, of course, it has to do with some amenities, locations, schools, type of property, and so on. So once I figured, like, I will get calls from buyers, from investors, and I found myself a spreading too thin, working with so many people at the time, but not putting houses under contract. But at the same time, I was not creating anything that I can say like a magnet or content to people to kind of like to sync with me. So I said, wait a minute. So I need to really identify who my audience is, because I don't know where I'm heading. And I've tried this. I'm wasting time, money, energy, and pretty soon I'll be out of real estate. So you have to know who do you enjoy working the most. Okay. So to me, at the beginning was, well, I did not have enough experience to become a listing agent. So I said, okay, I want to work with first time home buyers. And I also want to work with move up buyers. So buyers that bought their first condo, townhome, and now family situation has changed. They maybe have kids or whatever, and now they need to move to a bigger home. So that was for many, many years and continues to be kind of where I really wanted to be. So in the process, as I said before, I did not have enough experience to be a listing agent. When families call me and said, hey, we have this 2.5 bedroom condo, two bedroom, 2.5 bathroom condo here in Gatesburg that we want to sell and want to buy a single family home in Clarksburg. So I became automatically the listing agent of that property, and then I help them purchase the next house. So I not only gain skills on becoming a good listing agent, as well as being a buyer's agent, but at the same time, having to keep two transactions working at the same time. And this is kind of like at the spinning of the plates. You see those guys in the movies and going to the circus. There are so many plates that are spinning at the same time. My job is to keep those things spinning very smoothly. And if something breaks, I got to go and find one and replace it immediately so that everybody's entertained. Because at the end of the day, it's all about that. So once I defined that was my audience, I started to have conversations about people. Hey, have you thought about upgrading your house? No, we haven't. So then I start creating content around, things that you should do before moving, before thinking about selling your house, right? So people start thinking, oh, okay. So I didn't know that I have to do things about before I sell my house. So then people start like, syncing with my content that I was putting out there, and then said, created content about like how to buy a house while you still own a house, but you don't want to have two mortgages, right? That was very, very popular for so many years, because people's like, I don't want to have two mortgages. The whole idea of having two mortgages, even for 1 month, it scares the heck out of me. So I have to really create all these things so that way give people the sense of direction. But then once you identify the audience, you create the content that you want. Now it's time to create the systems so that people can feel confident that you will take them from point A to point B.
Awesome. So breaking down the audience and understanding your limitations, right? Like you can't just please everybody.
No, you cannot.
Yeah. So you can't. I mean, even when we were starting the agency, one of the things I really sat down and worked through was like, who do I want as an audience? Am I going after, the big behemoths, or am I, really focusing on a different company, or do I want solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, real estate agents? I mean, like really picking the niche. In other industries, it's huge. Like, who are you trying to reach with your marketing efforts? And once you have that target audience, you can then tailor the message to them, like you just said. So if you're going after first-time home buyers, the message they want to receive is very different than a home seller, because they don't have the same pain points that the home seller does, or vice versa. Or if you're doing move-up buyers. So I think that's one of the things that, in all of our industries, like, yes, we're all selling. We're all providing, at the end of the day, hoping to provide a solution to a problem that the consumer is having, and that's why they choose to do business with us. For you, they want to buy or sell a house. For me, as an agency owner, it's that they want to put their brand out there and build their brand, right? So choosing the right audience, starting with your goals, really choosing who you want to work with, and the target messaging that you want to hear is huge. So before we get into the last 2 or 3 things, which is going to be about choosing the right marketing channels, because you just touched up on that a little bit, like doing the different things, how to track results. And then we're going to talk about a little bit of competition as well. Like, how did you research your competition? And then I do want to hear your thoughts on how to really make it out of a very, very challenging market. But before we get all to that stuff, a quick word from our sponsors. My name is Amir Tabrizi, and I am the owner and the chief growth officer here at Agency 270. Agency 270 is a full service digital marketing team. We focus on search engine optimization, paid ads, your Google business profile, videos, video editing and optimization, posting your videos, social media management, and podcast recording and editing. Why we do what we do is because we want to help you and your message to get out in front of the world. We want to make sure that we're highlighting our clients so that they are the consumer's choice. We do that through the power of digital marketing. Ask yourself this question. If you go onto Google right now and type in your name, or type the problem that you solve, and you're not coming up as one of the first 2, 3 choices, there's a problem there. You are losing out business to your competitor. Don't settle for next to best. Don't settle for second. Don't settle for third. Let us help you get you to the number 1 spot on Google. Give me a call today. Go on our website at agency270.com. Send us an email at marketing@agency270, or give us a call, 301-310-6148. Again, that's 301-310-6148. Back to our show. All right, so we are back with Robert Garcia. We just covered some very important topics. So like we're talking about the 5 successful keys in writing a marketing plan. And we started with your goals, which you mentioned to us. What is it you want to achieve? Was it brand awareness? And you took brand awareness and then started to drive sales for yourself, and use the tags of no sales pressure, just education, in such a hardcore sales-driven industry as real estate is, and trying to close so fast. And then you kind of led into your target audience, which was, at first you said you touched upon everything. You were trying to do buyer sellers and every person in between, and then you really started to break it down. So you start to identify, am I working up with first-time home buyers, move-up buyers and sellers, downsizers, or people who are trying to leave their home and move on to something smaller. So those are great, but you also mentioned something at the beginning, which is you tried everything, right? You did Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok dances, all the other fun stuff. And now you're adding podcasts to it as well. So, we're going to continue that. But how did you choose the right channels? Because one of the main things that I see with any startup business owner, entrepreneur, small business owner, what they come to me is like, well, we've tried everything. Well, I'm like, what's everything? Right? And then they'll tell me, well, I'm on Facebook, but I don't post consistently. I'm on Instagram, but I don't post consistently. I started some YouTube videos, but I don't do it consistently. The consistency is the factor that's going to make the biggest difference in anything we do. If I don't consistently post on this podcast, I'm going to become irrelevant. There may be only be 3 people listening on a consistently basis, but they're always going to look. So 3 could go to 1 or 0 if I don't stay consistent with it. So you're a busy person. You're a dad of 2. You have your spouse. You want to enjoy time with your kids. I know your oldest does lots of fun things. Your youngest is, moving and active. So you don't have all the time in the world. And I know your family is important to you. So how did you choose the right channels? Also, how did you make sure that you were consistently posting to those channels so you do not lose the branding that you had been working so hard to build over the last 15 years?
So that's really, really a very loaded question. And the thing is that so you got to go to where your clients go, right? You don't when you make plans to go out with your friends, right? Whether it's you're a single person, just married, or have kids with family, you make a plan to go to a place that you all gonna enjoy, right? So, for example, if you all want to get out this weekend and everybody it's in the mood to eat some, let's say Persian food, but the
Now you're talking.
and then but one of the buddies that does not enjoy Persian food, but he says I like Indian food, then everybody's probably going to have to make a sacrifice and go where everybody feels comfortable. That's exactly what happens with the channels. You got to find people that we're going to going to be comfortable. And I remember at the beginning Facebook was like the platform to be. But if you look at what exactly Facebook does, it's just that it's a place to post or bragging about what you just ate, or the place you visited, or how any awards that you got or stuff like that. But you really don't educate people on Facebook as much as it used to be. It is just more about, hey, this is what I'm eating. Here's a picture of my taco with my, with my cold beer in the summer here next to the lake, or I'm swimming with the family and so on. So you really got to understand where your audience is. And then once, if you know, identify that channel, is that channel the proper channel to educate people or not? So that was kind of like the mistake I was doing. I was all over the place, and I was putting the same content across the board. And for some platforms, it's more like a spamming than other ones. So you also have to understand the platforms. I saw some level of engagement in some platforms, but on the other ones, the same content was not engaging the same way because it was not designed for the content, then for the platform. So you have to decide where you want it to be. So for many years, I really dreamed with the idea of having to do YouTube videos, but I didn't do them. I occasionally will do 1 or 2, got super busy. It was not part of my thing. And then I just felt like, okay, so it's really not working. So I started to really go deeper into YouTube, study YouTube more, understand what YouTube is. And guess what? YouTube is a search engine just like Google, and Google happens to own YouTube. So people go to YouTube to say how to prepare a low cholesterol salad, or how to grill a piece of steak, Argentinian cut, or whatever. So you see it's how people start. So how to buy a house with a bad credit, how to buy a house when you already own one house. So you can see how people start going through there. So I said, well, you know what? Maybe this is something that I should consider for me and do that. So then I started looking at YouTube more seriously and to dedicate time, doing resources and in terms of what I needed. So I'm going to bring here a couple books that I went through that I think are going to be a benefit to you all. And again, this is not an endorsement of any kind. This is just stuff I really like to provide information. The YouTube Secrets by Sean Cowell and Benji Travis. It's a really good book that gives you an overall picture of what YouTube can be for your business, any business. Now, I'm not talking only real estate. I'm talking on any business. Then there is another book called The YouTube Formula by Daryl Eves. It's an amazing, amazing book that really talks about a lot of different things that you can do in YouTube. And the more important thing is understanding. So now you've defined your channels where you want to put the information. Now let's look at the analytics. And this is where I can see Amir salivating, being so happy that he says, okay, analytics are your best friends when it
They
comes
are.
to content. Because you got to see how people react to what you produce. For many years, I remember Amir said, "Well, this in outbound blog posts were created, and certain posts got this level of engagement." And to me, I didn't quite understand what he was talking, to be honest with you. But now I really understand it. What it is? It's just really the engagement. So define the channel that your clients will go to, understand if that's an educational channel for them and for you, where you can become an educator, or understand if that's a channel where you can just brag about the things you've done. And then you have to create your content, your marketing systems, your marketing strategy around those channels. So then you don't sound and look like spammy. You sound entertaining, because at the end of the day, that's what people do. They pay for entertainment, and if once they feel they're entertained to do something, then they'll do a business with that company or person.
That's you're now talking my language. And yes, I was salvian when he was talking about analytics. I think as a not even as an agency owner, but as a business owner, like I want to know where everything is coming from. Like I want to know my P&Ls at the end of the month, right? I want to know how much money is coming in, how much good money is going out. I want to know what's getting me the best return of investment. But before I get into a little bit more of that, before we kind of get into tracking your results, you mentioned something that's huge, which is the differentiation in the content on the platforms. I cannot post a TikTok dance on Facebook because the audience on Facebook is a very different audience than is on TikTok. That's like, somebody trying to sell something on TikTok that has nothing to do with the audience that's on there. You can be wasting time, money, and energy just posting just same content throughout the same pages, right? So we call that static content. You just want to post a picture, a bunch of hashtags, and go out. It doesn't work like that anymore. Like Facebook may have used to work like that in the past, but it doesn't work that anymore. Instagram, so if we really break it down, the audience on Facebook is a much older audience. It's our parents, 50s, 60s, 70s, even higher than that are on there. So I would say like 65 and above on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Then on Instagram, you're looking at probably like 30s to about that 55, maybe some 20s will be in there, late 20s. And then on TikTok, you're thinking anything between, younger kids to maybe 25 at max, because we all know, I'm 30, Robert's, 18, but no, but I mean, like, listen, I'm not doing a TikTok dance on there. I'm gonna tear like 18 ACLs and whatever not. So differentiation of content based on the platform is a huge takeaway from here. Like, right, so understand where you're posting it. If I'm a real estate agent, or I'm a salesperson who's trying to target an older demographic, I'm sticking to Facebook. I'm not going anywhere else. Now, I think there are those unicorns where everybody gets access to, which is honestly the only unicorn in all of it is YouTube. You have kids all the way up to 60 to 70-year-olds trying to go on there and watch something, whether it's a DIY video or Miss Rachel or whatever it is. Like that type of there's only one unicorn in all of that, and that's YouTube. Now, Google, search engine based, right?
Right.
Everybody goes in, types in whatever they want, and they get the base out of it. But I think if you want one place where you want to put your content, it is YouTube. And the books that Robert mentioned, we'll have them linked at the bottom of our YouTube show as well. So because this will also be on all Spotify, Apple, and then also on YouTube. So if you want to go there, feel free to go there, or just email us at marketing@agency270.com, and we'll get you a copy of, we'll send you a link so you can get yourself a copy of those books.
So let me add one more thing
Please,
on
please,
this.
please.
So I recently saw an interview of the famous Mr. Beast, and you guys, a lot of you probably know. I mean, this guy, he's making millions every second, and he said something very interesting. He said, once I figured out the channel where I wanted to deliver my content, which it turns out to be YouTube, then it says everything changed. But imagine Mr. Beast producing that type of content, now that content being sent into Facebook or into Instagram, it wouldn't have the same impact, because it's not the right platform for that. Now he found out that YouTube was the right platform for him to develop the content, put it together, and then what he did is all the money was invested into that platform. Now he can make any changes he wants. He can make shorts, he can make TikToks out of it. But the platform that put him where he is, he did his research, and now this was what you put in the content. So highly, highly, highly encourage you to look at the platform where you feel comfortable. Look, if you're somebody that enjoy dancing and you like to dance like every time you go into show a house and came out of a listing appointment, fine. Then maybe TikTok is the place where you can do just crazy dance, right? And that's fine. I mean, that's exactly what you need to be doing. But if you have to be more than a dancer to get attention in this world of real estate, that it is, I will say, oversaturated with real estate agents, which I know we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. And, it's huge. And I do think one of the things I just saw recently about Mr. Beast is that he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he said that one of his fastest growing channels is a dub channel. So what he does is if he puts a video together in English, right, Squid Games or whatever, he hires voice actors and they do the same thing in Spanish. Not recreate the video. They literally will take the same video, voice actors come in, they dub it, and then boom, they post it out. And that was one of the biggest things. So we are getting closer to the end of our show, and I do have two more questions for you. One, you mentioned something about tracking, right? Like as an ops guy, if you are not tracking, you have no idea what works and what doesn't, right? Like that is, I personally say that's business 101. Track your investments, track your money, track your results, spend money on what works, right? Like if YouTube wasn't working for you, or if TikTok wasn't working for you, then you wouldn't have spent your energy and time in it. And I think one of the things that as business owners, because as a real estate agent, you have to think as a business owner, right? You're not just some sales agent that's just part of a team or solo. You are a business owner. You're a 1099 contractor with the majority of the people you work with, and you're a business owner, and how you present yourself is huge. So if you don't know your numbers, you're going to get in trouble. So you've now implemented all this marketing stuff. You have your goal. You've defined your target audience. You've chose the right marketing channels. Now you're tracking your results. How important and how detrimental is tracking? One, two, what are some tools that you use right now, free or paid, whatever it is that you use, to track your results?
Oh my gosh, that's a $1 million question here, because you see athletes, they now with technology, they strap them these monitors on their chest or their backs to monitor heart rate and oxygen levels, because then they know how much they can push them to the next level, so they can be ready for competition. And I've seen it in football and soccer and some other sports that are highly competitive. So many years ago, I kind of always struggle with, I gain weight, I lose weight, and I kind of play that yo-yo thing. So many years ago, I saw this guy talking about tracking your weight every day. So he says, if you want to lose weight, you have to track your weight. I said, that's so dumb. I'm going to get so discouraged if I go and track my weight every day. He says, every day in the morning, you get on that freaking scale, you weigh yourself, you get a journal, and then you put the date, and then you put what the weight was for that day. And you're going to do that for 30 days. And after 30 days, then you're going to know if you need to make some changes. So I said, it's just so ridiculous that I will do that. I mean, I will be so discouraged if I see myself gaining a pound every day, or half a pound, whatever. But you know what happens though? There is magic in tracking things, because tracking gives you a plan of action for a correction on your action. So I start tracking, and then a whole week my weight was the same. No, I didn't see any up or down. Next week I saw an up, but then also I remember I was kind of eating more junk stuff. The third week I start to see going down, but I remember also eating healthier stuff, more salads, more greens, and then I lost more and more. So with all that in mind, it gives you a correction if the path you're going is the right one or not. So now let's talk in business. So how do you track these things? first thing I always tell realtors that I coach is, do you have a CRM? And they look at me like with this like face, like I'm talking Chinese. I'm sorry, what did you say I have? I said, do you have a CRM? And it's like, no, it's a contact relationship management software. Or a spreadsheet. No, I don't have. Where do you store your contacts? Well, they're on my phone. So what happens if your phone crashes tomorrow? You drop it in the water, or the screen breaks. How do you get those contacts? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I guess maybe I have a cloud or something and it's connected. No, you have to have, if you are going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to be a professional, you have to invest in yourself and that it's tools. And a lot of mistakes realtors do is, well, I don't want to invest in my tools because I'm not generating money. Well, guess what? Is that's just to say, so a bodybuilder, I'm not going to eat protein. I'm not going to go and buy chicken and meat to build muscle because I don't have the money, but I do want to gain the muscle. Your muscles are not going to inflate out of thin air. You have to eat some protein to make it happen. So the same happens in real estate. So you have a CRM, right? There's so many CRMs over there. There are some that are free, some that are you paid. I mean, come on. If a realtor tells me I don't have one because they're so expensive, I'll tell you one right now for free. That is a free CRM. You can store up to 1,000 contacts over there, and it's one of the best one. It is HubSpot. They have a free account up to 1,000 contacts that you can store over there. And that gives you plans of actions that you can put in there. That gives you tasks that you can set up for yourself, notes that you could put in there. So once you have all that information, then you go to work, meaning you call your contacts, you call your past clients, you call your leads, and you will go ahead and start tracking all that information. And then there will be days where you're really going to have a lot of contacts, good success, and there will be days that you're not going to have it. I have personally used a system called Vulcan 7 that allows you to make it's a dialer and allows you to make phone calls and allows you to track your numbers. And it's amazing what happens when you track your numbers. So the day that you didn't make the number of phone calls you wanted it, then the next day you have to probably push yourself a little bit more. And if you're having more success with certain type of clients, maybe that means you have to go after those clients more than the other ones. So this is the value on tracking your information. Look, at the end of the day, you can even use a Google spreadsheet, for goodness sake. I mean, it's super simple to use it. There are some others in real estate. Follow Up Boss is another CRM. There are, I think, a realtor. The realtor.com has another one that is free too. So there's a few over there. So if you guys want some more information about CRMs, you can always shoot Amir an email. We'll send them those back to you. But tracking, just remember, as I said, if you're going to lose weight, you got to track it every day, because then that will tell you exactly what you need to do, what you should be eating, more or less, so that you can be on that journey. At the end of the day, business is a journey. And if you don't track this journey, if you don't keep your records, then you are heading into the wrong direction. Do not do the mistake many realtors do. They do it by impulse. You cannot be impulsive in this industry. Otherwise, you're always going to be after the shiny stuff, and the shiny stuff gets what? It's not as shiny as you thought. I've seen so many people go after the shiny stuff at the end of the day, and it's so dark. It's a tunnel. It's very dark. The shiny thing is just at the beginning. Once you get inside, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, chasing business in the sense of like, I'm going to chase this new thing. I'm going to chase this new thing. Like, it just doesn't work. It's not smart for business. And like you said, listen, if I'm trying to lose weight, right, and I don't like what I see on the scale, well, that's on me to make those changes. It's not on you. It's not on somebody else. It's on me. I have to put into time, whether it's eat better, workout, whatever it is. If you don't like the numbers you're seeing in your business is low, your business, whatever it is, make changes, understand your results and make changes. If you're just sitting there waiting for someone to do it for you, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't work that way. Like, that is not a good business owner, and you're in the wrong industry and you're in the wrong business. Go get hired by a 9-to-5 and have somebody else kind of do that for you. So tracking your results. Once you've implemented your marketing plan, it's important to track them. You can use a CRM tool like what Robert said, whether it's HubSpot. HubSpot has some free stuff as well. And we're going to have some upcoming episodes and webinars that we're going to talk about CRMs, what's free, what's paid for, what you can get from all of them. And again, if you have any questions, you can always email us at marketing@agency270.com, and we can get back to you with some of those answers. Now, we've talked about start with your goal, You defined your target audience. You choose the right marketing channels. You're tracking your results based on the right tools that you're using. There is one thing, and I'll kind of end the episode on this because I think it's huge with on the time that we're in now with the markets being the way they are. So at the end of the day, writing a marketing plan can be a daunting task, but it's an essential step for any business that wants to succeed. If you follow these steps that's been outlined, you can create a marketing plan that will help you achieve your business goals. Now, a lot of you thinking to yourself, dude, you covered four things. You said there's five key aspects. I'm going to ask you the fifth one,
Okay.
but I'm going to give you a different twist on it.
Okay.
So the fifth one is researching your competition, right? So as a business owner, how should I research my competition? How should I identify competition? And in a shifting market like we are in right now, especially for real estate agents, how should they build a business that is recession proof? What should they look for? What should they do to make sure they survive and not go out of business?
That's a really, really good thing. So, first thing is, they said, I think there's an old saying. This is that you are the average of the five people that you are either around it, that you deal with, or you learn from it. And one thing that I've learned in when it comes to marketing is you have to study your competition. You have to see what your competition is doing. I'm not saying copy what your competition is doing. I said study. Very different. Dissect what the competition is doing. Because I guarantee you, and I'm willing to put $100 here on the table as a bet, I guarantee you that you will find a loophole on what they're doing, as your competition is doing, that you can benefit from and you can improve from there. So when I started to decide to go heavy into YouTube, I started looking what other realtors were doing, not necessarily in my area. I went to other markets, bigger markets than mine, like Los Angeles market, Dallas, Texas. I went to Miami, Atlanta, Georgia, and they said, like, what other realtors are doing over there? And I found that there was always the same approach. It was just to give some information to people that were thinking about making the move to those specific areas from either with the continental United States or overseas and so on. So when you study your competition, you'll find out what's working, what's not working, what should you should do differently so that you can become better than your competition. But it's not only that, it's also how you deliver the information. It has a lot to do with how you're going to be able to stand about things. And now think about this. When you hear the word recession, right, especially for big companies with thin margins, they kind of freak out too, but they reinvent themselves. And here's what I'm trying to say to you. There are probably, just in Montgomery County alone, there are probably 15 to 16,000 real estate agents with a license. I'm not saying that all of them are practicing, but I'm saying that a lot of them have a real estate license, and then they probably feel that they can give real estate advice and they can act as real estate agents. But it's a very different thing when you actually practice. So think about like what they do, the big companies do. So when times get really hard and they have to get creative to continue to attract the customers to the stores so they can keep spending, because if we are in an economy in recession, first thing people do is just like, well, we stop going out for dinner. We stop going out for coffee. We stop going out for movies. We stop going out for those things. But those industries don't die. They still actually, they survive because they repackage their ideas. And I remember recently came to a terminology. It's called shrinkflation. It comes from shrinking and inflation. So basically what they do is big companies, I'll give you an example, is the box of cereal that you will buy, fruit, the that Loops, whatever, Fruit Loops is the name. You buy that box of cereal, but if you would have looked at the same box of cereal 2 years ago, the cost is still the same from 2 years ago, but the quantity, the ounces inside, is less. And that's how these guys still stay relevant. They still making you believe they're giving you the same thing, but I mean, you have to read it, right? It's different, and you have to compare. But that's to the level of how analytical you have to be. You learn success leaves clues for sure. You got to learn from the big guys, because they are going to be, they're going to show you how you can do it. Now, I'm not saying you're going to have to, you know, cut your services. Actually, in the environment that we are, realtors now actually have to provide more services than before because it's more challenging, especially for buyers. I have buyers that come to me and says, I've been working with this realtor and we've written 12 offers and we haven't been able to win one house. And we've gone 50, 60, $80,000 above asking price and we still did not win a house. And I said, well, gosh, I mean, something is wrong with that, because I have done the opposite. I have helped people to, we've been in multiple offer situations. Other offers were going above and beyond what we were willing to pay, but we were not the highest offer. We were probably second place, but they went with us only because I was able to coach my clients to make certain tweaks to the offer that will probably give the seller a more comfortable level. Listen, somebody that is willing to pay you more for your house doesn't mean that is that the person that is going to take it to the finish line. It does not mean that higher prices doesn't mean that is the best thing. You have to also always look at the person, how qualified this person is to take me to the finish line. It's a lot of words, Amir. I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you did. And I think some of the key points I would say everyone should take from this is success leaves clues. Look at what the successful people are doing. You don't have to match them dollar by dollar, but take clues of somebody who's successful. So if you're looking to start if you're a realtor looking to start a YouTube channel, look up Robert Garcia, find him on Google, find him on different places and look what he's doing. You can you don't have to, you can't just copy word by word, but you can copy the formula and the steps he's doing. And it's not like, Robert, you're the first one who's done this. I mean, there's plenty of realtors that are ahead of you. So I think we all just need to understand our place in line, in the sense that, like, this is where I have to start. This is what I have to get to, right? So researching your competition, and I don't really like the word competition, because I think competitors, I mean, yes, they compete with you, but at the same time, they can also be your blueprint into what you're trying to be successful with. And then I do think that when we are in such a tough time, don't just start cutting things left and right. If you know what's working, you should be in the positive, whether it's a recession or not, right? So if you don't know your numbers, that's where you get into trouble. So find the fat in your business, trim that fat. Do you really need the extra Starbucks? Do you really need X, Y, and Z? If you don't, then find those little things. Over time, those little things will become big things, and then you can invest back in your business. So those were the 5 things. Start with your goals, define your target audience, choose the right marketing channel, track your results, and look at what your competition is doing. So thank you, Robert, for joining us today and giving us some really, really valuable insight. If somebody wants to reach out to you and maybe have some questions for you, whether they're a realtor or a sales agent or anybody who's interested in starting any social media channel, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So there's a couple of ways here. If you just put my handle at Robert Garcia Realtor, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, you'll find me over there, and you can always send me a message through any of those channels. I'll give you guys my cell phone number here, 240-286-5526. Let me repeat it, 240-286-5526. You can text me, you can call me if you want to have a conversation. More than happy to sit down with you, have a phone call, a Zoom call, whatever you need, so that I can give you some of my ideas in terms of what you should be doing differently, so that you can kind of like correct anything that you're trying to do right now that is not heading in the good direction. I'd be more than happy to assist you with that. Available. I mean, listen, it's one thing I always appreciated from people early on in my career was they gave me advice on what should be doing, and I like to repay by doing the same. So there is no charge, guys. You know, it may be a little bit of limited time, but there is no charge for me to give you guys some advice. And if the requests keep being the same, and it's plenty of that, I mean, I'd be even willing to come back here, Amir, if you want me to. Absolutely. And we can shoot another episode to talk more about the specific of things that you guys could be doing. But yeah, thank you, Amir, for having me over. I really enjoyed this. I know it went a little bit longer. It's loaded with a lot of content. Mm-hmm. You want to listen a couple times because yeah, it is hard, but that's how I have been able to build my business, by listening to other people, how they're doing it, how they done it. There is value in a lot of these things, and you guys won't regret it. Thank you, Amir. Good job with everything you're doing with your podcast and your agency. Thanks again.
Of course. No, I appreciate you coming on. I do think we're going to have Robert back soon to discuss more of some of his tactics, specifically on sales ops and growing businesses. He's been part of many, many successful sides of the industry, not just specifically real estate. So, thanks again for tuning in on this episode of the Brand Builder Podcast. Again, you can find us on all on all podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify. We do also upload this to YouTube. And if you have any questions for us, you can drop it there. Thanks again. Bye-bye.